When I was like maybe 5 or 6, maybe even 3 or 4, you know, I started pulling out my mother's pots and pans and beating on them with spoons, and she would put them away, and it was like I would find them and just do it again, and did it constantly. And so at some point they were like, man, we gotta get this kid a set of drums. The drumming thing was just very organic. My father played with Miles Davis from B.B. King as well, was one of his first jobs. My mother played bass originally, worked with Duke Ellington. So I was very fortunate that I had 2 great parents who kind of guided me through the music business, and also introduced me to many great musicians, some of whom became my teachers. I've played music my whole entire life, and I've dedicated an amazing amount of energy and time at it. But your parents are lawyers or doctors. You don't become a lawyer or a doctor, you become a musician. In my case, you know, my parents were musicians. So when I went to college, I got a degree in chemical engineering, of all things. I never actually became a chemical engineer, but I did, you know, foray into the corporate world and did that, and then decided to, you know, do music full time. And it's a challenging life, you know, but arts and creative things have always been part of what make me happy and make me feel fulfilled. So, you know, that's something that I've got to strive to do and hopefully grow and be better at. Drums is very physical. You play, you know, a week at some club. If you're on tour, maybe 2 or 3 weeks in a row, playing with energy, playing with excitement. I mean, that is grueling. You know, it's physically taxing, you know, when you're playing the drums. So I had shoulder pain for a while, and that was one thing. And, you know, I was able to deal with it and whatever. But then one day I was in the gym and I was lifting weights, and my bicep just completely stopped functioning. It just like dropped out. And I'm right-handed, it was my right bicep, so with jazz drumming, you know, you're playing on the cymbal, and not having a bicep is a problem, you know. But I struggled through it, and I had to like use my hand to lift up my hand. I mean, that's how bad it was. It was just insane that I had waited that long. But fortunately, I had been introduced to this woman by the name of Dr. Lisa Callahan, who was the co-director of the Women's Sports Medicine Center at the Hospital for Special Surgery. And I basically had discs in my spine, in my upper neck area, that were impinging on my spinal cord. And I mean, in 3 places. And I was really just bummed out, you know, I was just really bummed out. And so she turned me on to Dr. Farmer. He looked at my MRI, and he basically said that it looked like the only option at that point was surgery. He wanted to have other doctors take a look at me just to make sure, and the first person he sent me to see was an HSS physiatrist. And then after that, I saw another nerve specialist. But as it turned out, there was many other parts of my body and muscles that were not working, or at least were compromised to some degree from this condition. So after that, I was like, give me your earliest date. You know, when you know, you tell me when you're ready, and we'll go get the surgery. And that's what I did. And I had a gig in February with my dad at the Jazz Standard, like 8 weeks later. and I said to him, I said, can I actually make that gig? He said, well, look, you got 6 weeks where you cannot lift anything, you cannot practice, you can't lift anything heavier than 5 pounds. And he said, but after that gives you 2 weeks to get for the gig. So if you think you can do it, then, you know, then I don't see a problem. From the moment I rolled out of that hospital, physical therapy was a really important part of what I had to go through. It was all about my shoulder and my bicep and getting those parts strong again. You know, 6 weeks, I had a good prognosis, and he said, hey, you're cleared to practice. And I remember I just did very simple things, and I tired very quickly. The next day after that, I was a little bit better. And then by the end of that week, I could see that I could get all the way there, and that I would be able to make the gig. And that was important to me, because it was this first time with this new band. It was just like a big deal. The first night, I was so excited. And I tell you, physically, I didn't feel really that different. And I remember I carried my drums too. I should have got somebody to carry my drums, but I carried my drums. 100-pound monstrosity. I remember my father saying to me, "You just got back from the surgery, so we'll take it easy." And I was like, yeah, that's gonna happen. You know, he just does everything at one gear, at the top. When I decided to really focus on playing music, my relationship with my father got much, much better. Part of it was, you know, we were just on the bandstand more often, but I think in general, we just became closer. Whether it was talking about music, or it was playing music, or going to see music, and now we get to celebrate it together, which is a cool thing. You know, I'm back doing what I'm doing, and I feel great, and more importantly, I feel better than before the surgery. Dr. Farmer and all the other doctors that were part of my treatment basically gave me another chance at life, you know, first and foremost, and then, you know, at doing what I love. And I have a debt of gratitude for them that, you know, I can never really repay.